SARS-CoV 2019 has marked the beginning of a big epoch-making change. Let's see the messages. Antonio, Apparitions in Salerno, Capua, 2003. My son, don't fear for the Asian plague which is spreading all around the world. The plague will spread on the whole planet, causing significant damage. And because of it, many borders will be closed for fear of infection. And the world will know and suffer serious economic crisis.
Trevignano Romano, 2020. Beloved children, look at what's happening all around you. The church is collapsing, together with many of my consecrated. Earthquakes are everywhere. Viruses have taken their own way. The economy is falling apart. Still, your faith remains weak. But really, aren't you realizing all of this? Carbonia, Sardinia, 2020. We've come to the most terrible days of Earth history. My children, hell is descending upon Earth. You are going to be taken by surprise. You will get caught off guard, O you who didn't believe my appeals. Now, the economy will fall down completely. Now, there will be the economic disruption. What's good the money stored in a drawer going to be to you? Good only to light yourself afire, if you'll even be able to do so. Let it be well understood, it's all over. Apparitions, Vicenza, Mount Berico, 2015. Children, you don't know what is waiting for you. The previous crises were nothing compared to the one you will be going through. Now, it will be this event which is going to trigger any other event. This message relates to the great economic crisis I've just announced, and she adds that this event will trigger any other event. Question: what times are we living in?
Scripture, Genesis 41. When 2 full years had passed, Pharaoh had a dream. He was standing by the Nile, when out of the river there came up 7 cows, sleek and fat, and they grazed among the reeds. After them 7 other cows, ugly and gaunt, came up out of the Nile and stood beside those on the river bank. And the cows that were ugly and gaunt ate up the 7 sleek fat cows. Then Pharaoh woke up. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. 7 heads of grain, healthy and good, were growing on a single stalk. After them 7 other heads of grain sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads of grain swallowed up the 7 healthy, full heads. Then Pharaoh woke up. It had been a dream. In the morning his mind was troubled, so he sent for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt.
Pharaoh is troubled by the dream. He wants to provide an interpretation. Then he calls for magicians and wise men, but they cannot offer an explanation, so they call for a young slave with the gift of interpretation. Then he starts talking.
The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good heads of grain are 7 years. It is one and the same dream. The 7 lean ugly cows that came up afterward are 7 years, and so are the 7 worthless heads of grain scorched by the east wind. They are 7 years of famine. It is just as I said to Pharaoh. God hath shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. 7 years of great abundance are coming throughout the land of Egypt. But 7 years of famine will follow them. Then all the abundance in Egypt will be forgotten, and the famine will ravage the land. The abundance in the land will not be remembered, because the famine that follows it will be so severe. The reason the dream was given to Pharaoh in two forms, is that the matter has been firmly decided by God, and God will do it soon. 7 years and 7 years. Let's see this message. Extremely important, from the apparitions in Cavarzere, Venice, 2014. There are 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. Afterwards it will be set all right forever, because my Son will come on this earth and will purify all of the world. 7 years of plenty and 7 terrible years that will anticipate the return of Christ. All I want to know is when the hard years of purification will come, in order to prepare at best. What will be the spark, the trigger? Apparitions, Antonio Salerno, 2009. Dear children, there are going to be 7 years of economic crisis all over the world. In these 7 years of affliction, there will be a big struggle for survival. Here is the economic crisis that I have announced to you earlier. We've entered a cycle of 7 years of purification. Carbonia, 2011. The economy is going for a fall by now. Nothing will recover anymore, and this world will get into difficulty more and more, because floods, tsunamis, and earthquakes, and many more disasters coming from the sky will fall on this earth. Anguera, Apparitions, Brazil, 2005. Know that will be a great chaos in the world economy, and only the meek and the humble in heart will be able to survive. I ask you to go away from any vanity. The economic crisis, which has been announced, has marked the beginning of a 7-year cycle of purification, which will anticipate the return of Christ. Now, don't think Jesus will be back in 7 years, in 2027, or in 14 years, in 2034. Don't make this mathematical calculation. Anyway, we are really very close, and we are living in the times of Jesus' second coming, which have been announced in the Apocalypse of St. John, the hardest times ever lived by mankind.